Hi, this is a very beginning tutorial for Unity. This is a tutorial for people who've never been in front of the Unity screen before. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, you're also looking at a screen that looks like this. So you're watching a video of a screen that looks like this, and you actually have Unity running and loaded on your machine looking like this. If not, stop and we'll get you all set up so your screen matches mine. What we're going to do is show you some of the cool things that are very easy to do in Unity and look really nifty. We're not going to get into the boring stuff or any of the code stuff. We're just going to go to some bells and whistles. So this is our world, and I'm going to explain some of this more in person, but this is our world. It's empty, and this is what the world would look like if we hit the play button, which is over here. So let's start with something cool, which is where you make a terrain. So unfortunately, I'm breaking my own cardinal rule, which is I always try to have the same version as you guys, and in this case, I don't. So I go to Game Object, and I say 3D Object Terrain. You're going to say, your menu is going to say Create Other, and then you're going to have Terrain. And this is going to appear. Now, what we're seeing is, again, here's our world. I'm going to click on the hand, and I'm going to use my mouse and wiggle around. But here's our big world that's unlit, and here's what it would look like if we press play. Well, let's get this a little bit more glamorous. Let's add a light, so it's not just this dark world. We're going to say, again, Game Object, and yours is going to be, again, Create Other Directional Light. I'm going to say Light, Directional Light. So a little bit different. But now suddenly it's lit. And if you click Directional Light, you're going to see a little lamp. But first, you know what I'm realizing you need to know is how do you move around your world? So let's talk about these buttons. The most important thing are these 4 buttons. I have a 5th button. Ignore this button. Actually, you don't have that button, so ignore it. So when I'm at the end, you're actually on this one. So this is, let's start with the basics. This is our hand, and you hopefully have a mouse with a scroll wheel. So go to the hand and take your scroll wheel and go in and out, and that's zooming in and out with your scroll wheel. Now go up and down, and you start moving your world around. And let's just stop right there. So you've got a little bit of idea of how to move. Now let's have some fun. We are going to say, if you want to change your terrain, you click on terrain. So a lot of times people can't find this area that I'm showing them, and it's because they haven't clicked it here. So 2 important areas are here and here. So we're going to say terrain, and we have to do one boring thing. We have to make the terrain smaller because this is a giant world. It doesn't look giant to you, but when you really start moving around it, it's going to be, you're going to be sitting there with your hand on the arrow keys, and it's boring. So let's make our lives better and click that gear. So again, you click terrain, you click the gear button. There's a million gear buttons, but you're going to click the one that's in this strip and go down, and you're going to say terrain width, change that to 500, and height 500. And you can see it's changing over here. So now we have a nice little square. Except mine didn't stick, and I have to do that one again, 500. Okay, and click into another thing. Okay, now it's taken effect. Now it's a smaller terrain, and I promised the fun would begin. Let's begin with the fun. Scroll in so your screen is taking up a lot of your space, not in too much. Also, if you ever get lost and suddenly your world disappears, double click terrain and it'll put you right back in the middle. Okay? So, this is the cool part. You are going to paint a mountain. This is why bling blam, this is why Unity is amazing video and we paint mountains. So you click here and this means raise lower terrain, and these are brushes. So you're going to paint a mountain. So watch this. Click on this brush and you're going to go like this and see what's happening. Look in the square with the blue background and look at this. And you're making some mountains. And now you can zoom in and you can see your mountains. Now, every time you drag, they get higher and higher. So see how they're getting bigger and bigger? Isn't that neat? Okay, so I'm just going to have some fun. I'm going to make my mountains, and I'll show you how to play around a little more, but this is just to show you what's cool. Okay, so we've got mountains. We can see them. Now we want to run around in the mountainous terrain that we've just created. So this is what we're going to do. This area, which we haven't looked at up until now, it's a section called Assets. You click it open, you say Standard Assets, click that open, and you get a thing called Character Controller. And when you click on that, these things appear. See this little pill-shaped thing? Okay, click that. You're going to take your first person. It's a camera. Think of it as a camera, and this is going to be the stand-in for your body. If you were virtually in this world and you couldn't see yourself, just like in real life, you see things from your eyeballs point of view, this is you. This is your first person. Just like in literature, we talk about first person. Look at what happens. As soon as I drag it over, we start seeing the world from that point of view. So just go in there somewhere and let go. Okay, now it's this little teeny tiny character controller, right? So we're going to click on him, and then we zoom in on him. See? So we're zoomed in. I hope I didn't take that too fast. And if at any time, just stop and ask any questions. So our little pill person has been brought in. And there's one thing about Unity that just drives me crazy, and it's that if you don't fix something right now, your game will not work, and it will break the moment you hit play. So we have to do one thing. Click on your first-person controller. So he's highlighted like this, or actually his whole, see right where I'm clicking? Click that. First-person controller, the word first-person controller. Then go to this button, the plus sign with the arrows, and your first-person controller will have little cones. Drag the top yellow cone up. See how it looks like the pill is sort of sunk in a liquid? Pull him so no part of his bottom is stuck in the liquid. Okay? So the pill is now raised, and now we can do the big demo, which is pressing play. And my thing is maximize on play. Yours might be in a small window, but now we can look around and we are in the mountains we just made. So so you do the up arrow, and I'm moving forward. I can climb up my mountains if they're not too high, but this is me. This is me zooming around my world. I can jump with I'm pressing the space bar and I'm jumping, and that's our first demo. And you can say, I did Unity and I made a terrain. One cool thing that people like that you can putter around with, and if you break it, it doesn't matter because we didn't spend a lot of time on this tutorial, but if you click on the pill, the settings for the pill will come up. The settings for it will come up. And you can see things like, these are all areas you can open up. Like I think it's closed when you see it, but if you scroll down this area, you see things like character motor, movement. Well, maximum forward speed is 10. You can make that 100, and you're going to start moving a lot faster through your world. How high you can jump, how much gravity affects you, you can change. So when we used to play around with it, we used to make it so you could just climb right up a mountain, even if it was straight up and down. But anyway, play around, get the feel of Unity, explore your world. There's other tools on the terrain. So if you say terrain, just be ready to like get rid of the whole thing and start over if you hate it, because it's a little hard to undo. But again, these brushes, as you click them, you see what they do. This is your height, smooth height, and your textures. So ultimately you can paint things like grass and things like that. But anyway, all of these are a little different. So have a little fun and play around. I didn't put the trees in, so let's not do trees, but you can see there's some neat built-in stuff. Okay, that's the tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions.